Good evening, everyone. I hope you can see all of us and I'm audible. If you can see me and hear me and see all of us on screen, quickly type a yes in the chat box so we know that I'm audible, we are visible. And thank you so much for joining in. Can we get a few yeses in the chat box so we know that you are able to hear us and see us? Great.
Superb.
So we do
Thank
see
you.
people coming in good numbers. Amazing.
Nice, nice. Oh, lovely. Good, great. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we're getting a lot of yeses in. I'm glad. There is a little
Wonderful.
bit of a lag that happens, so that is the only problem
True,
that
true, true,
happens on
true.
this platform is a tiny lag. Um, okay. All right. Great. Thanks, Varsha. Thank you so
Amazing.
much. My little team, if you're online, could you just please type out again that they should just press the start broadcast button so that everyone's able to go ahead and access. I think because they may not have realized that they're being able to see that it started.
Great.
Good evening, Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everyone for joining in once again. Those of you who are logging in, we'll wait for a couple of more minutes so the others can log in as well before we begin. In the meanwhile, I'll just quickly introduce about the topic we're going to discuss and, of course, the three wonderful speakers I have here with me. We're going to talk about the domain of management. And I'll just leave it at that simply because this domain itself is pervasive, it's very exciting, and it has just expanded in a way we couldn't have imagined in the last decade, and it still continues to do so. So we have a lot of interesting facts for you and information, and we're really looking forward to interact with you and answer your queries. So please don't hesitate in typing those out in the chat box. We have the Mindler team here. We have the four of us here who will try and answer all the queries you have. So please get all your questions answered you would like to. And of course, you can always reach out to us later as well. So first thing I'll do is introduce our speakers. I start with Miss Emily first. So Emily has joined us from Canada this morning. She's the liaison and marketing coordinator at the Telfer School of Management, which is situated in Ottawa. She's also undertaking her MBA in Strategy Project Management this fall and has 2 degrees from the University of Ottawa. Emily loves working with future students to help them achieve their goals. Thank you so much for joining us, Emily. We also have Ms. Shreya Poddar. She is a senior recruitment advisor for the Ryerson University with 8+ years of experience in international education and career counseling. During her career, she has had extensive experience developing international outreach and marketing initiatives for international universities in South Asia. Her global experience includes knowledge in Canada, United States of America, and the UK and Australia. Thank you so much for joining us, Shreya. And of course, we have everyone's favorite Shilpa ma'am here with us. A coach with a flair of humor and storytelling, Shilpa is an instant hit amongst hundreds of students she passionately delivers for the career workshops too. Packing over 22 years of experience in career guidance, life coaching, HR management, and teacher training, Shilpa brings a holistic purview of the entire education and skill building spectrum from schools to organizations. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, Abhishek.
And of course, lastly, I'm Abhishek. I'm here with you as well. Yes.
You have to introduce yourself. Abhishek handles elements related to international admissions as well, and he is currently our lightning fast career counselor who turns around everything in super fast speed, including typing faster than everybody and anybody I've ever seen. So, yes. So he's now nicknamed the Flash. So
perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, great. Okay, we have enough participants and I see people coming in huge numbers. So without further ado, let's begin with the proceedings. All the participants, thank you once again for joining us. And I know you are excited to know more about management. I quickly want to set the context. Now, if I take a step back and look at management, which was used to be in the 20th century and how it has stepped into the new era, it has evolved in a major way. Management is not just about having a bachelor's in business administration or an MBA. It has expanded in certain ways. You name one possible industry, and we can look at a management career. At every possible level, we can see a person working as a management professional. And it just keeps on expanding from hospitality to retail. These are the new age careers in management. And we have defined domains. nobody would have thought that aviation management would be a whole different domain instead of the sector. We're looking at hospital management. We're looking at public health administration, which is another aspect. And management consulting, of course, is an interesting domain, and so on. I think you just name a particular career and we can add management to it, and it will make sense because we have those possibilities available. And to shed some more light on the multidisciplinary nature of that, I would hand over the floor to Shilpa ma'am.
All right, thank you so much, Abhishek. I'm seeing a lot of people online, and I like that. That's great. I hope that more people are able to press the start broadcast and not have an issue with their internet connectivity. So, Abhishek, as Abhishek rightly put, there is a multidisciplinary element, and now we're seeing management everywhere. Actually, we're realizing management is everywhere now. The point is, it's always been everywhere. So whether you manage an organization, you manage your home, you manage your own business, you manage your non-profit, you manage anything, management is required. And a lot of times what I see is, I see a lot of students when they want to be able to pick an area for management. So I did a BBA and then I did an MBA. When I was picking an area, what I realized at that time that was important was to be able to spend time learning about each of the areas to see which one made the most sense for me. So the first thing I want to be able to tell all the students who are logged on, who want to think about management right now, whether you're at the postgrad or the undergrad level, do not make a hard and fast decision about what you want to specialize in right away. Allow yourself the time to be able to explore the different areas. And you will realize the immense multidisciplinary nature of management. So I chose human resources as my area of focus. That was primarily because I wanted to be able to work with people and be able to do that. But what I realized over the years is human resources is sales, human resources is also marketing, human resources is operations, human resources is also supply chain. Let me explain that to you. One of the most critical functions in any organization is the recruitment function, okay? Because if you don't hire right, you won't have the right people in your company. So if at the first step, you've made the mistake of hiring the wrong people, you won't be able to set the right kind of culture, the right kind of tone, the right kind of success path for your organization. So therefore, when the person interacts with a human resources person, that's actually soft marketing taking place for your brand, for your company, for who you are, and that is what is taking place there. So there's sales going on, there's marketing going on. The HR person is actually the face of your organization, and they talk about who you are and they sell that idea and the vision to a prospective employee and say that this is why this will make sense for you. So HR is not just I'm going to make somebody's salary, or I'm going to do hiring, or I'm going to do compensation and benefits. HR is about sales, HR is about communication, HR is about marketing. And similarly, when you're looking at marketing, you're also talking about elements related to human resources, because you need to be able to understand your team, you need to be able to motivate your team, you need to be able to make your team work. You also need to be able to understand what your client or your market or your segment is looking for with your product. So everything is completely interconnected and multidisciplinary in nature. In order to be a successful management professional or to be able to do well in a management degree, it becomes critical, therefore, that you keep your mind open to all the different functions, and also you keep your mind open to and you learn about all the different industries and what's happening. So never in our entire existence so far would we have actually thought that something that is happening purely in the healthcare sector is going to impact every single industry that there is. But each industry has gotten hit, from manufacturing to tech to ed tech. There are industries we didn't think would be able to, that were struggling, like ed tech, that actually took off immediately. There were industries that were doing really well in terms of hardcore manufacturing that got hit. But where you have the simple fact that your economy is interconnected is the first indication that you should have that management in itself is interconnected. So please don't be in a hurry to pick an area of focus. Remember that no matter what you're doing, every single function has to speak to each other. It has to work with each other. So you're going to have to talk to supply chain to figure out whether it's movement of people or goods, it doesn't matter. Your logistics is going to be in every single industry. You're going to have sales in every industry. You're going to have finance in every industry. And so what Abhishek said was absolutely right, that the applicability of management across every single sector is what makes management amazing. That you can work no matter what sector it is. It could be education, pharma, manufacturing, tech. It doesn't matter. Management will always have a place. You want to run your own business, it would be a great idea to be able to have a management degree. Do you need it? Is it a prerequisite? No, absolutely not. You can start your business right now if you want, and you could start your business in school. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if you have a management degree, and this is what I tell a lot of students, is it allows you to learn the structure that's behind how a system works. And you can then, if you know how a system works, you then know better how to change the system. You then know better which parts of the system you want to reject. You then know which parts of the system you want to innovate on and improve, and that ends up becoming an important thing. So please have a look at a management degree. No matter what segment you finally choose, even if you choose it at a post-graduation level, definitely look at an MBA, because you could be a doctor and you could still do an MBA and it's still going to benefit you. You could be a lawyer and do an MBA, it'll still benefit you. If you're a management student or a commerce student and you do an MBA, obviously there is a direct connection and correlation that happens. So just to kind of wrap up what I wanted to be able to say, so that I am able to give our other two speakers the right amount of time, is simply this. Don't be in a hurry to pick a specialization. Allow yourself to be able to learn all the different specializations, so you choose which one you are most excited by, and then go into that. When you start working, don't close your mind and be only in one area. Allow yourself to work in different segments so you learn about that. So I worked in HR, I also worked in marketing and merchandising, I worked in purchase. So I was able to learn from different areas, and that skill set gets used later. And allow yourself to also be able to understand the interconnectedness of the economy. So once you're able to see how all the threads come together, it just becomes so much easier for you to be able to pick an area and understand which industry is going to be able to use that, right? So that's my bit of my 2 cents, so to speak, on management. Abhishek, if I've missed anything, please go ahead.
No, in fact, ma'am, I would like to pick up on a point you just mentioned, that even if you are a doctor, you can do an MBA, or I'll give you a fact. 17% of the MBA grads going to Harvard, Wharton, Chicago, Booth, and Stanford, the top 4 business schools in the world, happen to come from Marine, or they are medical doctors. Now, that might be surprising to you, but that's a matter of fact, because all of them come from a whole different experience. Very recently, I got in touch with a former naval commandant, and he's now working for McKinsey on a project. And I connected with him on LinkedIn. I discussed with the point that, so how did you end up doing? And he was kind enough to share his experience. He was like, I had no idea about this because I was retired. I got in touch with someone. They reached out to me because they needed my help and expertise in a particular project. So they were like, okay, why don't you come and consult? And the point was, he was the project manager for that particular project. The idea is, any kind of experience you bring to the table, it matters. I would like to share my experience with management so far, and how ma'am was trying to portray that working in management goes a long way. And then I'll come to the point I really wanted to speak about. Having completed my master's in management, I was thinking about the domains to look forward to, because I did not specialize in a particular field. I went around to luxury management because I had that domain and I had the access, and I managed to crack into the domain. But later I realized that there's something more I want to do. I was fortunate enough to get to work with education management. Now, this might seem a bit of a transition, but the point I realized was the skills required were all the same. If I were able to communicate to my clients, I'm still doing the same thing. The point stays that how you use the skills in different domains of management. And like ma'am rightly mentioned, you can capitalize on them and work around them. It's just a whole different scenario. I always like to share this example. Whenever I meet a chartered accountant, I always feel it's up to me how I take my job. I can sit behind a desk in a particular office. I can work for a bank. I can be an investment banker, or I can work for a hospital or a hotel. It doesn't matter. It's the same job I'm doing. And same goes with management. So that's why I want to shed some light about on the type of skills you require in the domain of management, which stay consistent. It doesn't matter the industry I'm looking at. The first and foremost thing is, I think everyone who studied commerce here will relate. The first thing we study in the process is planning. I think that's the first acronym we get ourselves comfortable with, for the very simple reason. I might have a great idea, but I need to have a vision to execute that, which requires a structure. Um, And this is something very important because if I don't have a structure, I might have a business idea or anything which can, later on capitalize into something which is as big I can talk about. But the point is, I need a plan. And like Mom was talking about, even to start a venture, you don't need an MBA degree. That's true. But more often than not, we have seen people, great businesses starting off and not because of having a structure, not a plan, that they're not going to its fruition and to its capability that people would have anticipated. That's the reason we need to have a plan in order, which requires structure. Second most important thing for a management career is, and it can be at any possible level, you need to start communicating well. Your interpersonal skills should be the best for the very simple reason. I need to be empathetic, which involves starting with listening to others and taking everything you hear from the people who are above you, who are below you in the corporate ladder. It's important because when you listen, you are able to I think listening works in two ways. One point is that you're able to see, okay, if people are sharing particular ideas, I might be able to do better with that. Also, I'm able to identify talent of people working with me or working around me because that's something very important. This is a very interesting saying I came across by Mr. Simon Sinek, who he literally is, I think, one of the best optimists. He calls himself that as well, which is very true. He mentioned in one of his TED Talks that we need to look uh, to our left, to our right, and the people below us and above us. That is how we proceed further with the domain of management and become a leader. And it doesn't really matter where I am in my stage of a career because believe you me, I think all of you will agree when I say this, even the students, that we have seen people in our lives who are sitting at the top of the ladder, but they are managers, they're not leaders. So we need people who inspire us. And I think that can only happen if you have a way of communication, if you have a way of getting across. Imagine somebody working in the management domain in any possible industry is not able to communicate the values, the vision and mission of a particular organization. There is a big lag. So communication is anyways the key. Now communication also extends to decision making. Working in a management role, I need to be able to make decisions at the right time. For example, this is something very important about the domain of sales and marketing. We need to have the right product at the right time, at the right place, at the right price. But that extends from management, and that extends from one person's right decision at a particular point of time. Imagine if Jeff Bezos kept sitting in the garage and never thought about making a decision to start something. I think world will be a way more different place than it is today. I think Amazon wouldn't exist. And so I think it goes for anything else. Now imagine speaking about decision making. I always want to talk about Elon Musk for that matter. 2002. I know the figures are very different. Now it's 2020, but then he spoke about starting with SpaceX and sending a rocket into space by himself, by his own organization. The world mocked him at that point of time. And of course, why wouldn't they? This was something that US and the USSR back then were talking about. And this person was like, okay, I'll show you, I'll do it. 18 years down the line, we were sitting at home in a pandemic, and the man was watching his rocket fly into space. I think he made that happen. That involved a decision at a point of time, that involved a plan. Another thing that is equally essential from decision making is delegation. I mean, I cannot emphasize on this enough that we have to be able to delegate. And it doesn't really mean that you're, delegating work to people who are below you in the corporate ladder. It also means to delegating work to people who are working with you. Because when you're delegating work, I personally take it as a way that you're appreciating the particular skill a person has. For example, if I know this job can be done better by someone else, I would definitely seek help because then I'm not only getting the job done, I'm getting it done in a better way because someone might do it more efficiently in a more, I think, effective manner that I wouldn't have been able to do. And to be very honest, the end goal is the same. I have to get the work done in a proper way. But I just went on to get the work done better by reaching out to someone else. So delegation is an important aspect. Anyone who's aware about project management, that is what delegation about. You need to be able to identify what kind of skills my team has and able to delegate the work accordingly so I get everything done and the project is complete. That's what delegation is all about. Now, I think this is the core of management, which comes to problem solving. I'm sure both Shreya and Emily will talk about this as well, that when universities look at students, they are not looking for people or students, and please, the two of you do correct me if I'm wrong here, that we are not looking for students, even the employers are not looking for people who have fancy degrees. They need people with a vision who are coming in that they have a vision. Okay, we're not sure what we want to do, but we want to make a difference. We want to improvise on something that exists or create something. We need people who are problem solvers. And I think this particular pandemic has taught us nothing better. We need people who can solve problems and not just talk about, okay, a situation. Because we go nowhere about discussions until unless we create something. And creating something will always involve a creative bent of mind, a divergent thinking or lateral thinking. We need people who can think of the out of the box, imagine a situation, and try and figure out a way around it or try to improve something. That's something very important. I think the four of us wouldn't be here speaking to you if the pandemic wouldn't have stuck. We wouldn't have thought about doing this, to be very honest. I know webinars is not a new concept, but the way we are able to interact with you, we get to see so many students. And I can safely say for all of us that we learn so much from the kind of questions you have. That kind of shows us what is happening. So it's again kind of opportunity for us to create to do something better. For example, if you face a problem today with this particular platform or something, we'll come up with a better solution. That's how we're improving. So management is again about finding a proper solution, but in a creative way. We just add that creative touch. You can call it the aesthetics of management, but we do that. We tend to get that part done. Lastly, something which is very important for management is motivation. I know a lot of people. I've read quite a few research papers by great authors and researchers. They tend to say that motivation is intrinsic, it's inbuilt. I do understand that. But I honestly feel there has to be a trigger, and we don't realize that what our potential is until we are motivated. And to be motivated at work basically means to feel safe, the environment you build across. To be very honest, the safety here means that you have the environment to grow, to express your ideas, to be able to put across your points. Or I have an example for this. This is, I think, around the time let's just say the time when we could fly and we could visit the airport, or the time we all liked. Now we cannot do that. I saw a lady who was literally behind me and trying to get into the plane before me when they were onboarding and checking the passports. And the lady over there from the airline said that, why are you in a hurry? You cannot do that. And she kind of screamed at the lady. And I personally went on and said that, can you please not treat us like cattle and treat us like humans? And the reply I got made me think a lot of things and reflect on so much. She said that if I don't do my job properly, I get fired. That made me realize the kind of work structure she works in is restricted. She doesn't trust the people she works for. She doesn't have the will to grow. She doesn't have empathy because that's something she doesn't get at work. The point being, we need to be able to give an environment to our people who we work with and who are working under us, or anyone who's working with us, to give them the sense of motivation and safety that, okay, they can flourish, nurture, and grow in the workforce. And all of these things together are very essential for any kind of career in management. I would now definitely like to invite Emily to give her perspective about it and talk about her university. Emily, please.
Perfect. Thank you. I really like what I'm hearing. There's a lot of echo I want to maybe just take before I present. And the best story, I think, is my life story. So as has been mentioned, I studied at the University of Ottawa, but my first two degrees were in communications and in political science. And right now I'm in a place in my life where I'm looking to do, a second degree, graduate studies. And I've landed on the MBA because I think business, it opens many doors. And it just works in every domain, as we've said. And I couldn't agree more. I think whether it's an MBA, an undergrad, a degree from anywhere, even here in Ottawa, it's well recognized and will open many job opportunities for you. And I think that goes for international as well. It's a well recognized background that will help you in your career. So I love hearing that, and I second that absolutely. And so right now I will just share my screen. And and I'll present my little presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and we can see your screen as well. Perfect.
Okay. So very briefly, so Telfer is the School of Management at the University of Ottawa. We offer a BCom, so it's a Bachelor of Commerce, very similar to a BBA or BA, as you might have seen in other universities. In all honesty, there's a slight difference when we look at, the ins and out of the programs, but at the end of the day, it's roughly the same thing. So now I'll go funnel. So I'll start with the city of Ottawa. Ottawa is the capital of Canada, as most of you already know. In terms of looking for university, what we want to highlight and what I want you to keep in mind as you're looking internationally is that Canada, or Ottawa, is always ranked in Canada as one of the best Canadian cities when we talk about money, because I know money will be a very interesting topic when you start looking at things like that. So the cost of living in Ottawa is still very affordable. When I say that, I talk about tuition fees, I talk about housing, activities, food, rental, things like that. So Ottawa still ranks very well in Canada for affordability. We are 19th in the world for quality of living, so we live very well in Ottawa. Of course, I live here and I love my city, so keep that in mind as well. And something that's not very known, but we are kind of booming in terms of business, is that we're a major tech business hub. So we have Shopify, IBM, Nokia, Adobe, there's much more. We also opened a second campus here in Ottawa in Canada. So it's a tech hub, basically. That's what it is. And you might be thinking, well, how does management relate to business or hubs like that? They're very well connected. We also have a program option that links both of them. So I'll be able to talk about that in a few minutes. Now we go into the university. Perfect. So the university itself. So Telfer is hosted at the University of Ottawa. We're the 7th best university in Canada. We are 144 in the world. And this is for the Times Higher Education from last year. The numbers haven't come out for this year. And we're 17% international students from 155 countries. I would say that reflects very well as well at Telfer. So it's really fun when you go into your classes, you meet people from all over the world, from all around Canada. And I think that gives you, as a business student, gives you a good opportunity to expand on that, communication, knowledge, decision making, all things that we've talked about in an international setting. I think it's very important. And I think that we will be able to give you something similar to that in your classes and in your education at Telfer. Briefly as well, the ratings for universities, it's take or less. There's a lot of ratings out there. It depends on what you're looking for rankings. So now about the school, Telfer, we have the Triple Crown accreditation. It places up, in the 1% of business schools in the world. So we do very well in that sense. I want to talk about something very important. I think something that will be a game changer, if you want, for when you're starting to look at programs and when we talk about the career and management. So the University of Ottawa, Telfer as well, is very known for something called co-op. So co-op is a student that will work and study and alternate sessions. So I will start my first year at Telfer, I do my courses, and then in the summer, I start working with the help of the university, and I already start making money, and I start working in a real firm and a real government job, a real startup. And this is a bonus for two things. Of course, the first one, it's money in your pocket. The second one is that you get to explore different career fields, different opportunities for you to see what you really like in terms of management. And we've talked about this like 2 minutes ago. So there's a chance for you to explore and really nail what you're looking for in terms of management. And this is real work experience. These are real positions, and like a lot of students will go and place in international firms like Deloitte, or the government here in Ottawa is pretty big. And what I want to say with co-op is that if you are studying here, let's say in Ottawa, there's nothing that's stopping you from doing your placements anywhere really in the world, even just in Canada. So keep that in mind. It's something that we do very well at the University of Ottawa, and a lot of our students will be able to participate in. And the last thing, we talk a lot, business. I think the first thing that comes to my mind when I say business is networking. So we have a career center at the University of Ottawa, and specifically at Telfer, that puts on events for business students only. So 220 plus a year. So that's with the Telfer Career Center. The university also has a career center for students, and we have support for international students who are looking as well to work in Canada. So that's a little bit about Telfer. Very briefly, the School of Management at the university. So Telfer, we really encourage you to participate and get involved. I think it goes back to, the skills and what you're looking for, but we are really looking to build a sense of community. We want our students to, yes, study, but also participate in activities to grow and to learn from each other. And I think that's what makes us really different in Canada. Even just in Ottawa, there's a lot of big universities here. So that's what our brand, if you want, is. And what we're looking for a lot right now is to have an impact, in our community, in the world, in Canada, regions. We want to have a positive impact, and we want our students to shine, and be able to show what they've learned and put that skill set to use. So that's about the school. I talked briefly about the Career Center. We can talk about it later, but we offer a variety of things. The one that I personally enjoy the most is I've done career testing, I've done personality testing, and also had somebody help me with my cover letter for a job, because it's a little daunting at first, especially, your first job. Let's say you have that co-op placement. There's a network of support there for you, and we really want to see you again succeed and achieve those goals that you've set out for yourself. It's really important to us at Telfer. So briefly, I won't go too much into details. So as I said previously, at Telfer, we offer a BCom, so Bachelor of Commerce. We have 9 options. But before I go into it, I really want to talk about the fact that we offer something called the Common Core. So a program in Canada, at Telfer at least, it's 4 years. The 2 first years of your program, you'll be doing the Common Core. So everybody will be doing the same courses, which will give you a chance to see what you actually like and what you really want to specialize in. So your 2 first years, you'll be doing accounting, finance, marketing, management, human resources management. Then after that, you'll be able to finish your specialization, in year 3 and 4. We like this at Telfer because it gives you flexibility, but it also gives you this well-rounded background that's well recognized in Canada for, yes, you've graduated from marketing, but you have a bit of knowledge in finance, you have a bit of knowledge in management, and it gives you that edge in the workforce. At Telfer, we don't have majors, minors. The systems are very different when you start looking at university, but you will be spending your 4 years studying in one domain. But we do have certain options that we can help you looking, if you like entrepreneurship, you want to start your own business, the university has a lot of support for things like that. So I'll go briefly through 9 program options that I've chosen. I'll highlight a few careers, but I want you to keep in mind that when you apply to the Telfer School of Management, or you're looking for business school, the 2 first years are part of the Common Core, which gives you, again, flexibility. So one of the biggest programs that we have, the one that's really popular, is accounting. Students will, place themselves in the big 5. We call them the big 5. So the Deloitte, the KPMGs of the world. Accounting auditor in Canada, the professional designation is a CPA, which, if I'm not mistaken, in India is a CA. Similar, I think there's a bridging program for both options should you return to India after it. And so students in this place, everybody needs accounting. Everybody needs an accountant student somewhere. So students place themselves very well after they finish their degrees in accounting. This is the most popular option at Telfer. The second one is finance. That is the students will place themselves there. But another one that's very popular, I talked about startups and tech a little earlier. Our second very up-and-coming program is Business Technology Management. So BTM, as we call it, because it's a very long program name, you will be bridging in between IT and business. And you'll be operating in big data, making decisions to, make the best decisions with the information you're given. It's a growing program and very in demand. I can't stress this enough. If you're interested in IT and management, I would really look into this option, because we literally have employers calling us to see if they have students in this field. So no pressure, but a great program option if this is something that you're interested in. I've talked about finance. Of course, finance can give you, work in banks, capital markets, stocks, and whatnot. In Ottawa, the big financial hub in Canada is in Toronto, but we still have a lot of links with the high markets if ever that's something, capital markets, you want to do. Telfer also offers you the opportunity of doing some fund management. So we have money set aside. You'll be part of the capital markets program. It's a new program, new courses that we've introduced in the program itself. And there's also a professional designation. It's called CFA. So if ever you're looking to add that after your name, your graduation, something we can help you out. And just in the picture, very briefly, we have the Finance Society, the student club that went to Toronto and closed the market during an event. So really fun, great opportunities there as well. Whoop. Healthcare analytics. We've talked about this earlier. You wouldn't think that they're necessarily linked, but they are. There's a very big portion of managing the healthcare systems that's come from management. Of course, it goes without saying. It's a new program option. It's the latest one that we have at Telfer. If ever you're looking again to work in hospital, public, startups also hire a lot of our students for this. So if something that you're interested in, keep in mind, it's a program option at the School of Management. HRM, another very popular one. Employers, you can work in the placement agencies. Here in Ottawa, what I think is a big employer is the federal government. So we have a lot of really big, stable positions here in the city, and they hire a lot of students that come out of human resources management. There's a lot of career examples, so specialist, employer relation. There's also a professional designation, so a certified human resources professional, if ever you're interested in that. International management, if you want to travel some more, we have 25 plus country partners, embassies, EDC, so Export and Development Canada is a big, they hire a lot. Or international organizations, if you just want to travel some more, diplomat, international sales as well. Sales is very big right now in the school, so a lot of students are positioning themselves to do something similar to that. And part of this program, what I want to mention, if you do international management, you have to do an exchange. So 1 semester or 1 year abroad, far from Canada. So keep that in mind if you're very adventurous, a great program option. Management, this is the one when students talk to me, they're not really sure where they want to go. I say do management because it's the one that gives you the best, general background and positions yourself to grow very well in the market. So you can do consulting, management firm, government again in Canada, pardon me, is very big. Like I said, project manager, very, very popular right now, very in demand. If that's something that you're interested in, management would be your first. I would start with management. At Telfer, if ever you're into consulting, we have a professional management consulting program. So you're set up with consulting firms and you do placements and you do sessions with them, which is really fun and really good for your career as well. Marketing, of course, another very big one. Tech, marketing agencies. We also have new courses that are on digital and social media marketing. So it's very, very up in demand. Of course, again, I think a lot of these fields are in demand right now. And very briefly, on the right, the pictures that I've chosen, we have a lot of case competitions at the School of Management. So it's a group of students that will prepare during a year, and then they'll compete against big universities in Canada, and they'll do a marketing pitch, a sales pitch, and they travel with the university. So right now, this is our student delegation that we're going to do. It's called Happening Marketing in Montreal. So really fun. It's also another part of getting involved at the school, something that we talk a lot about, for our students to explore. And that was it for the program options. I just wanted to touch base very briefly on tuition fee at the University of Ottawa. So on the left, there is something that we added, very lately, as of late. So it's a calculator. So it'll be the cost of your studies. It'll estimate how much it'll cost. What I did is that for next year, for one trimester, the estimated value for an incoming student at the Telfer School of Management, 23,000 Canadian dollars. But of that, I want to say that there's a lot of financial support, even for international students at Ottawa U. We have bursaries that are handed for international students. There's some very prestigious ones. If ever you're interested in that, there's a lot of help there. You might have to, go looking a little more for it. You might have to apply, send us a resume or CV and things like that. But there is financial help for international students. So that's what I had for my little presentation.
Thank you so much, Emily. I think that was really insightful. What I'll do is I'll come back to you with questions. I'll now invite Shreya to share her perspective on management.
Yes, I'm just going to share my presentation.
Can you see it, Shreya? It's on your screen.
I can. Is it okay if can I just share one? Can I share my screen instead?
Sure. Perfect. You can navigate through this. There's a button.
Yeah, no, I know. I've just did something.
You will be able to navigate your presentation, though. There shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to navigate your presentation also.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen. Abhishek, can you just share, because I think there's some problem. I'll
No
just go
problem
with.
at all. Absolutely. Here you go.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us. I am Shreya, and I am the Senior Recruitment Advisor for Ryerson University, and I am based in Mumbai. So, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about where the university is. So, we are located in downtown Toronto, and as for me, that is one of the biggest USPs of the university is the location, because that kind of helps us with a lot of great industry connections and co-op opportunities for students as well. Um, and I also want to talk about when we talk about Toronto being in downtown, I think a major concern that parents and students that have is that, oh, it is in downtown. We don't know if it is safe or not. Should we consider it or not? And to answer that is Toronto is the safest city in North America. So that if that is a concern, I don't think you should be that worried about it. Talking a little bit about numbers. So we have a total about 40,000 students on campus, of which 36,700 students are undergraduate students. So we are a very undergraduate focused university. We have students coming from more than 150 countries, and we offer a lot of study abroad opportunities which are faculty based, which I will discuss a bit in later. One thing that I really do want to highlight, and I think we all have been, so Shilpa ma'am, Abhishek, and Emily have harped on the fact that how important it is to be able to, kind of understand what management is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, a choice in terms of your subjects only. So we have something called as zone learning. I don't know how many of you all have seen or heard of the show called Shark Tank. It is basically a show where somebody has a business idea or a small business where they go to a panel of investors and pitch their idea. If their idea is worth, investing in, they get the funds. So we have something similar along those lines called zone learning. As you can see on your screen, there are 10 different zones. The great thing about it is that you can have a business idea from any of the zones, and it does not have to be in your area of study. So, for example, last year we had a student from the Faculty of Sciences and Faculty of Engineering that worked together to make like a sensory helmet that made a helmet that worked on sensory nerves. And they actually got bought by a Sweden-based company for $1 million. So they actually graduated being millionaires. So it is something that is not a part of your curriculum, and you need to make an extra effort to be a part of it. So if you will see where my cursor is, the DMZ, that's called the Digital Media Zone, that is our most successful zone, and it's the world's #1 university-based seed incubator. You can, and I highly encourage all students to go and be a part of it from the first year. You don't need to have a business idea to be a part of it. You can just be in there, learn from it, and then eventually, associate with it, or maybe you come up with a business idea, you can go ahead. Also, the DMZ has a tie-up with the Bombay Stock Exchange, and we have a space here with them. So startups in India use that space, and then they have a 6 months internship at Ryerson to work with their counterparts and further build on their business ideas. So I highly recommend that you all do look into what zone learning is. Next is a little bit about all the faculties that Ryerson has to offer. So apart from business that we will be discussing a little bit more in detail, these are the other faculties that we do offer. So now coming to our business school, it is called the Ted Rogers School of Management. In terms of numbers, it is it's the #1 most undergraduate entrepreneurship courses that, of any university in Canada. We have 12 co-op programs for all of our BCom degrees that we offer. We do roll out more than $100,000 in scholarships every year. And all of we have, like I spoke about the study abroad opportunities, we have about 40 international exchange partners worldwide where you can consider and do a semester abroad. these are the various programs that we offer. So from accounts and finance. So now, you do have an option to go undeclared in your first year and then pick one of your areas of specializations between all of these programs. Also, students that sign up for the BCom degree will have to then pick one of the 7 areas of specializations, which could be from HR, health, global business management, international business, law, marketing, investment banking. You can pick from one of those. Again, students picking accounts and finance also get to pick a specialization, either accounting or finance, from their second year onwards, and then they specialize in that. A few interesting or different programs that we offer. One obviously is business technology management, which is offered. But in terms of different programs, would be hospitality and tourism management and retail management. So those would be very specific in those areas. So if you are keen and wanting to learn about the management aspects of those industries, I would highly recommend looking at those programs as well. Talking about accreditations, so we are all our business school is AACSB accredited, and so that is less than 5% of the world's business schools are earn that accreditation, and we do have that. Again, we are also accredited by the CPA, so that is there. So students considering to do accounts and finance, that will be there. Apart from that, we have the Smart and Premium accreditation, and also for the Business Technology Management program, we are accredited by the Information Technology Association of Canada. So we do have the necessary accreditations that you require for taking your degree further and applying to your co-op opportunities or to your post-study work opportunities. And I would like to talk a little bit about co-op opportunities, like even as Emily discussed, that all co-op opportunities are paid for. So that kind of helps you a lot when you are in terms of supporting your education as well. So technically, as the degrees are 4 years, if you do a co-op term is usually between 12 to 16 months. So you will be able to support 1 year of your education. So that kind of is great. And more often than not, all of the students do kind of get placed in the companies they did their co-op at. So that also sets a great base for you to start off at. And for us at the Ted Rogers School of Management, as of last year, 95% of our students did get placed for their co-ops and their post-study work opportunities. So that's a great number. And so rest be assured that you will have something that will, help you take the next step further. Another thing I would like to highlight that specifically Ted Rogers does is that we have something called as boot camps, so which we help students to build on their technical skills. It's basically a technical skill training program to help them develop other skills apart from just your textbook-based knowledge, things that you will need in your real-world experience while you're working in the in the industry and all of that. And it is facilitated by your peers or your seniors who will help you understand and learn these bootcamp programs. Sorry for the slide, I think there is some mix up, but it is relevant, like I said, is for understanding things that are required apart from just the knowledge for the program. So you're learning skills and softwares that you might want, that you should know. A few examples of what the bootcamp classes look like is you would probably learn how the capital markets work or how cybersecurity works. You learn Python. You will have like a class on like project management or on Bloomberg, and like learn all of these as an extra added skill, which is a part of the program. So you are not paying extra or doing anything extra. It is all inclusive in the Ted Rogers School of Management. Lastly, a few examples of companies that students do get placed off, and these are a few names that I have put. Apart from this, all of the other companies, so be it your Microsoft and be it Google, be it other local companies that we do tie up with, are also available, and I can share that in detail if you need it later, but these are a few examples for you to look at. In terms of application processes, we do accept applications either from the Common App or from OUAC. And do visit us, take a virtual tour. Like I said, we are a university. We are not your typical campus-based university. We are in downtown. So taking a virtual tour will probably give you a great idea about what the campus looks like and what you can expect when you're at Ryerson. You can follow us on all of these social media platforms and see what's happening at Ryerson. And lastly, that is my contact information. If you further need any questions or more details on any of the programs, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. And thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Shreya, for that. I think people got a lot of perspective about it. So I have a question for the two of you, Emily and you. Can Emily first please shed some light on what exactly is an ideal candidate for you? What exactly are you looking for in an international candidate when they're applying to your university?
Yeah, good question. And we talk a lot about grades in Canada. Grades are important. You will need a certain average to get an admission. The only reason I want to mention this is that the program at Telfer at the University of Ottawa is very, there's a lot of numbers. If you don't like numbers, if you don't like math, I am sorry, you're just not going to get out of it. So admission, math is very important, and grades are important for that reason. But apart from that, as I've mentioned briefly earlier, we want our students to get involved and see what the business world is actually about. So whether you participate in a case competition, a student club, a e-hub, a university, something that's not even related to Telfer, get involved. Do something else, because a lot of employers nowadays, yes, you graduated from Telfer. What else did you do? What is going to make you different at the end of the day from another student that graduated? So we think that our students should get involved, reach out, make new friends, be able to work in a group setting, explore all the domains of management. So a curious mind would be definitely another one that I would add to that. But you're looking to do more than just study. I think that's what we push a lot and we talk a lot at Telfer when we do these types of events. Study, yes, great, very important, depending on where you want to go. I know those big law firms, the big five, when we talk about accounting firms, they look for good grades. But people are now looking for more than just that. And I think that's something that we want our students to acknowledge before coming into the business schools, but apply and action when they do start their business school. So that's, and honestly, most of the student population at Telfer is very friendly, and it's a very strange, I know a lot of business schools tend to be, a little more cutthroat, but we're all friends at Telfer. We all know each other. Everybody it's a community aspect. And when you come to at Ottawa U, you know a Telfer student because they all know each other. They work on group projects. They do activities here and there. And so it's a mindset to keep in mind if that's what you're interested in. There's different schools for everyone, but that's our brand. That's what we look for, and that's what we want our students to do once they graduate.
I think that gives a very good perspective, and that's necessary as well, like you rightly mentioned. Shreya, same question for you. What do you think is the right candidate for you?
I think I will have to kind of agree with Emily in the sense that math is not going anywhere. So math is definitely going to be there. And I think one thing all the students applying from India probably need to know is a lot of us take commerce without math when we go in grade 11. So which is okay, you can make an application, but it will be great you will have to still take a virtual class to fulfill that math requirement when you're submitting your application. So I will highly recommend that always see if there's a prerequisite for the specific program that you're applying to. So keep that in mind because that will be required. So you're not getting, away with that. Apart from that, another thing usually given this year, which is obviously much different from all the other years, students do a lot of internships in the summer. That kind of helps build their profile. So I think unlike US, Canada is it is not about specifically working in your area of interest. You could be doing any other kind of extracurricular activity which you enjoy and which is helping build your profile personally. So it doesn't mean that I've applied for accounting, so I need to work at a CA firm as an intern, so that will, maybe help my intern, my scholarship or my profile. It actually boils down just to your marks. But anything extra that you do for personally, you could learn say another language and you went and aced that and got the highest level in that and you're fluent in a language. That's great. We try to see you as a whole and not more so about what you're going to bring to the program specifically, because I think all universities at the undergraduate level go with the norm that you don't know anything, at least when you're studying abroad. So they teach you from the basics. So anybody who's coming even from an arts background, so to speak, in India, could still apply for a business program. And they will not, they don't need to have that prior accounts or, finance knowledge. They could be starting from ground zero and it would be absolutely okay. So, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Shreya. I think that does add up to what Emily said and gives a good perspective about it. Okay, one last question for the two of you, and I know you pretty much covered everything I wanted to ask you about the university. What I think I saw a lot of people asking, what does the future look like for international students? I know this has been a dreadful year, but Canada has done a good job at managing the pandemic, and hopefully it gets over soon. But how have the universities tackled the problem so the students feel safe coming into the university? That's a priority. Emily, would you like to go first?
Yeah. Oh, it's a good question. I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you more, but I don't.
True.
What I can tell you today is that we are very well aware of the fact that it's hard for everyone right now, not just international students. I think it's hard for even my city right now. But there's hope. And I think the university is, as a school, at least we're trying to push and, leverage our alumni to see, hey, these students, that they're good, they need this. The Career Center as well is looking to give more help to students to get that push and get out there. But the one thing I will say about, at least for Ottawa, and even it goes for Toronto as well, Canada is also, it's a very well-positioned country. Ottawa, it's a government city. So the jobs are relatively extremely stable, and that's why Ottawa it keeps on growing. Even then, the tech world, the startups, it's a very stable economy, and so we didn't feel it as much. But most of our students get a placement. We'll see with the pandemic, but most of our students still get a placement after 6 months of graduation. 98% of our students are placed, and I don't see that changing too much for the next years. It might be a little more challenging, but I think at least Ottawa and Canada is fair, whether you're international, Canadian, French speaking, unilingual. I think it's a fair country. Will you have to work for it? Yeah, absolutely. But more than anybody else? No, I don't think so. I think we're fair for that. And I hope I'm not saying anything wrong, and we'll see what happens with the pandemic. I have faith. I really do that, we'll bounce back from this. Absolutely.
I think we would agree to that on major level, because I think that's one reason people look at Canada to study further, because it's a fair country. That's something very important. Shreya, any perspective you want to add to that?
I think the one thing that I would like to highlight is that Canada has been, the government has been very proactive in just, helping, supporting students who are already existing there. And plus, all universities are also working cohesively in terms of the bigger picture. It has not been, this province is going to do that and we won't do that. I don't think that has been the communication that has been going out. So I think that shows a very strong front for all of the universities and colleges that are there within the country. Plus, I think all universities have, a COVID-specific page where we are updating regularly for what, measures we are taking as a university and how we will accept, for their example, their transcripts or their English language requirements or the prerequisites. And I think, again, probably one of the countries to have declared online classes early on, and we have kind of stuck to it. And it is going to be synchronous and asynchronous, and we all our faculties, I think, are working tirelessly to make that happen, because we all are going to have students from more than 100 countries in different time zones that will be attending these classes. So being accommodating of that and appreciating that, and that is decided. The classes first term are going to be online. It is not, okay, if the situation becomes better, you can fly and we will start in-person classes. So that's not going to happen. Yeah. So I think that kind of gives a lot of stability to students to understand, and like the post-study work does not get hampered. So everything is in place. So there's nothing really to fear about. And I think the best thing of this situation is to, like you said early on, that we didn't think that we would do a lot of webinars, but everybody has adapted to the technology and edtech platforms, because that is the way to do it now. So students who have a fear of, I've never studied online, I don't think I can learn online, nothing is impossible because everybody is learning something new today. And I think the past 5 months for the whole world has been a great learning experience. So yeah, just take it as it comes, and that I think that would be the best SOP, or your job interview story that you would have to say in how did you
Absolutely.
land up. So I think that would be great.
I'm very sure. I think that's a good point for sure. Thank you so much, Emily and Shreya, for joining us. We were really glad to hear from either of you. Shilpa ma'am, any closing remarks about the domain? Anything you want to add?
No, I think they've just done such a brilliant job of it and explained what the opportunities are, and I think they gave the students a really great option of what they can explore as well. And yeah, I completely agree. I think the country has actually had a really amazing response for international students also. And it's a management will never go out of style, so that's the one thing we need to remember.
Yeah.
So this is one area that's going to be in every domain. So if you're exploring it now or later, it's a good thing to do. So that's where I close. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I would agree with you on that. The two of the speakers have done an amazing job at talking about the domain and the university. Thank you so much. And lastly, I hope, thank you so much for being a brilliant audience. I hope you were able to get your questions answered. I know the minority was answering the questions. I have posted the email ID right at the top. You can always write to us. You can write to the two of them. They'll share their email IDs. We can share with them as well, so they can reach out to you for particular questions. But I do understand students and parents, it's a very difficult time when it comes to decision making. So please ask for help and reach out. We are always willing to help. I think the four of us will agree on that. So please don't hesitate in asking about the situation. To be very honest, I think everyone is skeptical. I mean, the countries are, so I think it's completely fine if at your age you are. So please take care, and I hope to interact with you soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thank you so much, both of you. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.